Well, howdy, and welcome to the Mark Driscoll Show. Guys, we have an awesome show in store for you today. We talk about Bad Bunny. We talk about TPUSA's halftime show that was awesome. We talk about adoption, and we talk about the Olympics. It is going to be a good time. You're going to want to stay and listen through the whole thing. Pastor Mark has a great word at the very end for you guys. So buckle up. It's going to be an awesome show. Well, Pastor Mark, Super Bowl halftime show. At least they were standing. You had to watch it. We forced you to watch it. Everyone online was like, "Why is Pastor Mark watching this?" Because the Real Faith team forced him to watch.
You guys made me. I was over in the side yard playing with my grandkids. That's exactly what I was doing. You were like, "Oh, we got to go play, the Bad Bunny clip." I was like, "Dang it, anyways." And so, I was eating cookies with grandkids.
I know. So for everyone online, we forced Pastor Mark to watch it. He was not happy about it, but yeah, and you weren't a huge fan of it.
Well, it was stupid. I mean, it was stupid, and part of it is you're in the United States of America. This is a masculine sport where men are committing violent acts against one another. I don't need some queer guy dancing around. It's off-brand. It's weird. It's off-putting. This is kind of a national event where everybody gets together and has fun. And it's a family kind of day. I mean, here at the ranch, Real Faith, we had families here. And I was outside running the nursery. I'd rather play with the kids. And, I mean, the game was over in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
The Seahawks defense, it was wild. It was like an adult attacking a toddler. It was wild. It was an assault. And so praying for Drake May today. I'm sure he feels like he got run over and backed up over a second time.
He has to tell his kids and grandkids about that for like the next 50 years of his life.
Yeah, well, he's young. He's going to make a comeback. He's going to win a Super Bowl. He'll be okay. But I was out playing with the grandkids. But, even here, there was a lot of kids of all ages. We had a bouncy house up. And for a lot of people, it's kind of a family day. Everybody gets together. And with the halftime entertainment, you don't want to be taking a lot of risks, because if you've got minors and children involved, you need to know, is this going to be something that is really, really inappropriate for family and for children? And so, when you bring in an entertainer who is, avant-garde gay, and
he's kissed a lot of men.
He's kissed I would say one is a lot.
A lot.
One is a lot. Yeah. And so, but also too, part of it is from a nationalism perspective. This is, kind of America's sport now. I mean, the Super Bowl is bigger than basketball, I love baseball, but, this is now the big sporting event and kind of the national sporting moment in America.
134 million people tuned in.
Yeah. And so, for us, it's like, this is America. I mean, this is bigger than the Olympics. The Olympics is going on right now. I'm assuming this is significantly bigger than the Olympics. And so this is an American moment. And it's like, well, then speak English, because you're in the United States of America, And so to be, overtly queer during a masculine event and to be overtly non-English during an American event, it's like, well, this is a masculine American event. This isn't a queer Spanish event. And I know that's offensive. And just let me say, it was offensive to me as a heterosexual male American. And so, you don't see this in other nations where they educate their citizens to hate their nation. Like right now in Iran, they're not trying to figure out, how to platform, Europe or Great Britain. They're not trying right now in Russia to figure out how, during whatever their big sporting event is, how to have their entertainment, platforming American values and speaking English. I mean, once you start having pride in your nation, you start to undermine and cause the decline of your nation. And that's like sitting on a tree and sawing off the branch that you're sitting on. It's stupid and it's self-destructive.
Why does something like the NFL become so woke? Is it
Because of advertisers?
Yeah.
And it's all you just follow the money.
Yeah.
And so you follow the money. And so the woke agenda of certain companies is always promoting, woke agenda through advertising. And so do the players want, this? No. Do the consumers want it? Does the average guy sitting there drinking a Budweiser, eating a chicken wing, is he saying, I hope the gay guy comes out in a dress and he's dancing to Spanish because I need me some of that. I doubt it, Well, he's got his chicken wings sitting on his gut because that's what he uses for his coffee table.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Yep.
Does the family sitting there watching it are they anticipating with glee that the child that they're watching it with would be exposed to that? No. So it comes from out of touch advertisers and companies that are out of touch with reality, but because they have money, they are forcing it onto consumers.
Yeah, it's majorly disappointing, and as a response to that, we saw Turning Point USA this year
provide an alternative.
They wanted to provide an alternative when they heard it was Bad Bunny, and they heard that it was going to be in all Spanish, because he said you need to learn Spanish to enjoy the show, which is like,
it's like, we're in the United States of America.
Yeah.
If you know Spanish, that's fine. That's great. But since you're in the United States of America, learn English.
Yeah, it's like, just because we have pride in America doesn't mean we hate other countries.
No,
it's okay to have pride in your country.
Your wife is trilingual.
Yeah. She
speaks Spanish. She speaks Portuguese. She speaks English. Great.
It's awesome. But it doesn't make us love America less, and we shouldn't apologize for America either.
Well, howdy, Pastor Mark here, wanting to thank our partners at Goldco for sponsoring the Mark Driscoll Show. And if you have been watching the news, it's a complicated time indeed. Despite adjustments, gold and silver are still up. And we know that AI is still gobbling up silver at a rapid rate. Our friends at Goldco would love to get information in your hands to help you make informed decisions. So they've got a special for you. Head over to goldco.com/realfaith. Again, that's goldco.com/realfaith. And this month, they're celebrating America's 250th anniversary with a limited time bonus offer. You can get up to 10% free gold or silver, plus free storage and a free home safe with a minimum cash purchase. All of that, as well as more information, just go to goldco.com/realfaith to learn more. That's goldco.com/realfaith.
So we saw Turning Point put together an awesome show, and wanted to turn it over to Andrew Clovette to tell us how it went.
Andrew, I watched your show. It was great. How did you do? Do you have a sense of how many people watched?
Yeah, it was kind of blew our minds actually a little bit, Brian. And we saw at one point across all the different social channels, we saw over 10 million concurrent views. So that was adding up all of Rumble and all of our partners just on the social side. So, and now the numbers keep trickling in. I mean, right now as I'm sitting here, YouTube's numbers keep updating. And so we're trying to put it all together. What I can safely say is that we are now over 20 million viewers across just social. So we haven't even gotten our partner broadcasters, their analytics. As you know, sometimes the ratings take a little while, but that's 20 million viewers. And we don't know how many people were gathered together, 3, 4, 10 in a room watching together. So we're going to try and put a final number on that when we can. What we can safely say is over 20 million Americans tuned in to the All-American Halftime Show tonight.
And realistically, that's probably 40 to 60.
These are viewer parties, large groups.
Yeah, I mean, in the church world, we count on about 2.5 people per streamer for a church service. So this is bigger than a church service, because unfortunately America celebrates sports a lot more than they do the church. But that's incredible. And why do you see the need for an alternative like that? Do you agree with what Turning Point did? Do you think it was helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this too. I know Andrew, and I appreciate him. I love him. I like him. He's a good man. And so I am grateful for the attempt that they made. And to do something like this, it takes a lot of courage and risk.
Yep.
Because If you have any technical difficulties, you're just lambasted online. If the response is not great, you're lambasted online. You're putting a lot of effort from your team and a lot of money into an experiment, because in the history of an event like this, really nobody's gone up against Goliath. Nobody's really taken out their 3 smooth stones and said, I'm going to give it a shot.
Yep.
I mean, the halftime of the Super Bowl, that's your highest ad dollars. Nobody competes with it. Nobody even tries. So this took a lot of courage, and this was an experiment. And so kudos to them for taking a run at it. I appreciate it, and I value their effort. And it was wildly successful by any, measurement. And so when you can peel away, I don't know what it is, 20% of the eyeballs or whatever it is, if I'm an advertiser or I am one of the major outlets distributing the game, I'm thinking that is a big loss of market share. You've just taken the ad dollars and you've taken the profitability and you have just cut into it. And what that does as well, that encourages others to try and do the same. So now you're looking at competition in the market.
Because next year we're going to see a lot more of these.
My first thought, I mean, we're not anywhere near the level of TPUSA. My first thought was, how much of that market share could we go for? I mean, that was my first thought.
Yeah.
It was like, well, if there's something there, let's go for it. I mean, and there's going to be others that are going to be thinking the same thing. And what could you do to provide family-based, faith-friendly content that would provide an alternative? And if you're evangelistic, you love Jesus, you want people to meet Christ, there's an opportunity here because there's a lot of eyeballs.
So with culture getting darker and more woke and disgusting and the complete lack of pride in America, you believe Christians should engage more than just complaining. We should do something.
Yeah, rather than just protesting, provide an alternative. Mm. And if it's a turd sandwich, make a different sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think frustration with conservatives and Christians is we're quick to critique, but we don't do anything. Like the average church or pastor or Christian, they want to complain on the internet and get in the social media comments, but they don't want to do anything. And I think Turning Point did something.
It is something, and there's other conservative, platforms that could do the same. There's Christian denominations that have the technology and have the wherewithal to do the same. There could be live streaming worship events. There could be, instead of commercials, there could be actually evangelistic presentations. There could be interesting documentary films that are played. There could be all kinds of different media. And wouldn't it be great even if the Christians were able to pull together a menu of options to where you had some sort of, super place, almost like going to a Netflix where you've got a lot of options and they were all faith-based and Christ-centered, and whatever you got was better than what was being offered. And I think it's been 20 plus years since country music was platformed at the Super Bowl. And it's like they've sort of cut out the one genre that is pro-America, pro-faith, pro-family, pro-freedom, the one genre that still talks about Christ. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get that in rap. You're not going to get that in pop. And so it seems to me like there is a profound bias, and it hates its own market.
That's what's so weird to me. Like, we saw Post Malone this year, Morgan Wallen, all these guys blown up, #1 hits. They're driving old trucks and they're singing about America and
Jesus. Like Morgan Wallen is talking about Jesus. And I know for a fact, like Morgan Wallen and certain country stars, they're getting trained in deep end of the pool Bible teaching. And I know who's training them. I know for a fact. And so some of these people are not just token Christians, they're deepening their faith.
Yeah, 100%. And we saw that actually at the Turning Point viewing at the concert. And we're going to roll that clip of Kid Rock getting up, and he changed the lyrics of the song Till You Can't.
If you would have told me Kid Rock is going to be talking about Jesus, I would have thought the end of the world is officially come and Jesus is already back.
We could be close.
Yeah.
One Sunday morning, all alone, with this song stuck in my head. And in that moment, something or someone spoke to me. They said there was still a verse that needed to be written for this song. and to get up and write it down. There's a book that's sitting in your house somewhere that could use some dusting off. There's a man who died for all our sins, hanging from the cross. You can give your life to Jesus, and he'll give you a second chance till you can't take it.
So Jesus is starting to be a little trendy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been in this long enough, dealing with politicians, business leaders, entertainments, and athletes. Sometimes it's just tokenism, and it is just manufactured branding.
Mm-hmm.
I've met some people who I thought were devout Christians, and once I got to know them, it was nothing but just branding and marketing. It was fakery and forgery, and who they presented themselves to be publicly is not who they were privately. And that's disingenuous, and that's what happens when Christianity or Christ starts to become more popular. In addition, there are some people that are saved, meet Jesus, born again, and they're kind of shocking, and you wouldn't have anticipated that Jesus was going to pick them for the team. And as soon as they get saved, there are people that then are continually going back to their past and saying, but they said this or they did that. Therefore, how could they possibly speak for Jesus? Well, the whole point of Christianity is you're forgiven for your sin, and you repent of your sin, and you get a new life in Christ, which means your old life was bad and wrong.
Yeah. I mean, we see conversions like Paul's, and I think most of the church would reject Paul full stop.
How could he come and preach? He murdered a guy who was a leader in a church.
Yeah, who would that be like today if they got converted? I mean,
It would be like a jihadist.
yeah.
It would be like a terrorist.
And he wrote like a good majority of the Bible.
Yeah, he's the number one by sheer number of books contributor to the New Testament, but he was a murderer. So this would be like a jihadist or a terrorist. And so, what happens sometimes is it's like, well, like Jelly Roll right now is he's a wild, fascinating journey. I mean, he starts off as an obese guy married to a prostitute, who is not a believer. And then we're all watching his journey. And early on, you've got like some faith-based elements to his songs and some sort of echoes of Christianity. And now he's like overtly talking about Jesus. And we're seeing him get physically and spiritually and mentally and emotionally more healthy before our very eyes. Like we're seeing his salvation process as a whole total person.
Yeah.
And everybody's watching it, and it's radical.
Uh-huh.
And he attributes it to Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's a beauty in it.
There's a genuineness about it. You're like, I can see that something happened to this guy.
For sure.
Because he's literally half the man that he used to be.
It's a half a Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
I can't handle the name.
Yeah, we got to get him a new name. Yeah.
Protein bar.
Yeah, we got to get him a new name. But isn't it beautiful though that Jesus would take a guy who has so much attention, and then we get to watch the transformation, and we get to see God do his work in and through a man. And in the end, you're like, I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for his family. I'm so happy for his daughter. And I hope that other people that sort of identify with him with addiction or trauma or incarceration, and in some way he was self-destructing, I hope that they follow in his example, and I hope they experience the same sort of life in Christ that he is.
Yep.
But you could also look at him and be like, well, he was in prison, and he was a glutton, and he was married to a prostitute, and we could just shame the rest of his life. It's like, no, by all accounts, he's met Jesus, and he's a new man, and he gets a new future, and he's got a new identity. So, those religious people who would be throwing stones because of the past, they don't realize that sometimes being self-righteous and religious and proud, those are the worst sins of all. Mm-hmm. So has Kid Rock met Jesus? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But could he? Sure. I mean, Jesus can save anybody. Save me. Yep. I wake up every day, I look in the mirror, and I'm like, I'm shocked that this guy's on the team.
Yeah, and so that all came to him, the song at least, post Charlie Kirk's assassination. And so we're almost, I guess we're just about 6 months out from the horrific event that took a good friend. And we're seeing some men still activated. And I think there's that initial, everyone's like, revival, and there's this wave of people getting saved and guys getting activated and talking about their faith. 6 months later, it's pretty good to still be, all right, in the wake of that, we're still getting activated. We're still showing up. And are you seeing much of that in the church, at your church, in culture right now?
Yeah, I mean, so with anything, there's always a surge. And then the question is the surge sustained?
Yeah.
And what we're seeing, at least at Trinity, especially in the men's ministry, is, it's overflowing. I need more space. That's why we're going to build out, as you know, a new building. Part of the problem is for a lot of young men who were activated by Charlie. And honestly, I still get choked up. It still bothers me. I was at a burger joint with Grace. We're standing in line to order a burger, and there was a couple there was a grandma and a mom and a grandchild in front of us, and they podcast, and they said hi. They were from out of state, and she took out her credit card to buy her burger, and it had Charlie's face on it, and it said, "I am Charlie." I started choking up. Like I love him. I miss him. He's irreplaceable. But for a lot of the young men who were activated by Charlie, they had a hard time finding a church because the pastors were soft and they were weak and they were soft woke and they wouldn't talk about Charlie's death and they won't talk about cultural or political issues. So there was a lot of young men who were activated, but they couldn't find a home.
Yep.
And so for a lot of those men, they're struggling because there's not a place for them.
Yep.
And so, shame on the churches that the men showed up and they're like, "Okay, pastor, they shot my big brother. What do you have to say about that?" And the pastor's like, "I don't do controversy or conflict." It's like, well,
he's
then
divisive. Yeah.
Then you're not a man.
Yep.
Because men do controversy and conflict.
Yep.
And saying, "Hey, we love our brother who was martyred and murdered and we're praying for his family," that's not controversial at all. That's just Christianity 101.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it feels like, at least in the Valley here in Arizona, there's only been a couple churches, one of them Ryan Visconti, that surge happened and the growth sustained because they were met with courageous Bible teaching and a man.
Leadership.
Ryan Visconti. So, it's good to see men lead, but there shouldn't be stronger men out in culture than within the church.
And you bring it up, and Ryan's awesome, by the way. But it is wild when at Charlie's memorial, you see political leaders proclaiming Christ, and now you're seeing entertainers proclaiming Christ, sometimes with more courage and clarity than pastors and pulpits. And that's rather wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's rather wild. But could it be that God is bypassing the pulpits because the men there, they just lack the testicular fortitude to do the job?
Yep. I think you may be completely correct. And you talked about it a couple weeks ago, just the fear of the Lord and how important it is. And I think a lot of pastors have no fear of the Lord, and they're more fearful of the people on their board or in their congregation than actually pleasing the Lord. And everyone's welcome but the Lord in their church.
Well, and honestly, Landon, what I'm seeing is most people are to the right of their pastor in the church. And most people, they're not going to oppose their pastor for being a courageous leader. They want a courageous leader. They are longing for a courageous leader. To me, it's just like most Christian wives are like, "I wish my husband would lead."
Yeah.
Like, it's not like she's going to I'm going to fight him. She's like, please lead this family. Please have convictions. Please have courage. Please have a backbone. Please be a freaking man. Most Christian women aren't going to fight their husband, and most congregants aren't going to fight their pastor. That's what they're wanting. Well, Pastor Mark here, wanting to thank our partners at Goldco for helping sponsor the Mark Driscoll Show, and they would like to inform you about silver. Over recent months and years, silver prices have increased, and they'd like you to be informed to help you determine the best place to put your wealth. So here's what they are offering. And you can go to right now, goldco.com/realfaith. Again, that's goldco.com/realfaith. And here's what they are offering: a free 2026 gold and silver kit, as well. In light of our nation's 250th birthday, they've got a limited time bonus offer. You'll get free gold or silver, free storage, and a free home safe with a minimum cash purchase. Again, they'd like to give these gifts to you, as well as information about precious metals, but especially silver. So again, go to goldco.com/realfaith.
Speaking of fighting, Pastor Mark, the opening ceremonies at the Olympics happened.
Oh, geez.
I know you really wanted to make that transition.
That was easy.
Yep.
And by the way, we don't use the word transition here. Pivot, segue. Yeah. Yes.
So we saw the opening ceremonies of the Olympics, and honestly, a huge step up from last year. No
queer. The last time we had the queer Last Supper,
it was very demonic and
it was
disgusting.
completely blasphemous.
It was, and it was very hard to watch without throwing up. It was much better this year. There was art, and it was in Italy, and my wife really appreciated it, and I watched with her. But there's a lot of protest violence happening in Italy as a result of allowing Israel to participate in the Olympics while countries like Russia are not. So we want to roll a clip of what is happening there. Yeah, so this the only way this would fly is on the 4th of July. In America, if that was happening in our streets, feels like it would get handled.
Well, so this is all theater. So part of this is the social media theater. And so they're doing it at night, and they're doing it for the camera. So this is all theater.
Okay.
And this is all fireworks. I mean, if you're just an average person, you're like, oh my gosh, this looks like Armageddon.
Yep.
These are fireworks.
Yep.
Now, fireworks are still dangerous. You can hurt people, but this is not the same as active, gunfire. These are not 50 caliber rounds.
Yep.
But yeah, you pull this off in America, cops are not going to endure this.
No.
But what this goes to show is this is what the streets of America will look like if we don't enforce law and order.
Yep.
If you just let Minneapolis go, if you let Portland go, if you let Seattle go, this is what it looks like. And the question is, how many families are going to live there?
Yeah.
How many sane human beings are going to live there?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to empty out. And, who wants to have major urban centers in America look like this? And this is what it looks like, because evil never stops itself. And so if you don't stop it, it escalates.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, it is a reprehensible thing when it is like Israel has no right to exist or be in the Olympics. I mean, we used to call it anti-Semitism. Now they call it anti-Zionism.
Yeah.
It's just anti-Semitism rebranded.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it just feels like, the answer to the left is just to violently protest wherever they disagree with. It's just, they hate countries. They want to be very exclusive, but they hate when we're exclusive. So it none of it really makes very much sense. We're seeing quite a bit of it there. And probably the grosser thing, and I think the bigger discussion at the Olympics right now, is just the lack of pride in our country, in America. We're seeing all of the athletes actually denounce America and apologize for America. And J.D. Vance and his wife were met with loud boos there, and people just very disrespectful to the U.S. And we're going to roll one of the clips of the USA skiing team and what they had to say.
I feel heartbroken about what's happened in the United States when, I'm pretty sure you're referencing ICE and some of the protests and things like that. I think that as a country, we need to focus on respecting everybody's rights and making sure that we're treating our citizens as well as anybody with love and respect. And I hope that when people look at athletes compete in the Olympics, they realize that that's the America that we're trying to represent.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. So yeah, I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and the people that support me getting here.
So the entire point of the Olympics is nationalism.
I know.
Different people from different nations competing to represent their nation. That's the point of the Olympics. It's nationalism. This is the bankruptcy of Western education. We're one of the few nations that actually doesn't teach our children our history, and when we do teach it, we teach it in such a way that they hate their nation and history.
We stole this land. Yeah, we're not proud of it at all. I mean, I feel like guys like that should get taken out behind a barn and shot.
Well, how about at least sign, I pledge to love and serve my country, and at the very least, if I win a medal, I will shut up.
That it's like,
because there's in the world there's positive, negatives, and neutrals. So there's this continuum. If you can't be positive, at least be neutral. And at the very least, don't be negative, because, as far as negative goes, like Iran, China, North Korea, Russia, like negative is covered. We don't need you to wear the flag and be negative. We have that covered. At least be neutral and just shut up. But part of it is too, just because you're a subject matter expert in one lane doesn't mean you are in another. This is why your mechanic also isn't your doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Your accountant isn't also your surgeon. Yep. So just because you're a good ski jumper doesn't mean you're good at understanding, law enforcement.
Yeah. I mean, these guys, like, if you made it to the Olympics, your family has invested everything in you your entire life. And I just looked him up. He's from Bend, Oregon. His mom started him in skiing lessons when he was 3. They moved to Salt Lake City for his skiing career as a child. So they're a very wealthy family, and just American wealth poured into a child so that he can have the privilege to play games for a living.
Yeah.
And you're going to complain about America?
Yeah. You're
in the land of the free. Like, go live somewhere else and figure this out.
Well, and at the end of the day, do you really think that a guy in his early 20s who spent his entire life in white neighborhoods with ski slopes, getting lessons that are highly expensive, understands the political events that are going on with illegal immigration in urban neighborhoods that are being overtaken by cartels and drug leaders? No, because I'll tell you right now, Trendaragua is not running things on the slopes in Utah.
No, it's very safe, and there's a lot of security, and
everybody there is white and off-white. Those are your
Bend, Oregon, Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like you live a very privileged lifestyle, and then you have a lot of opinions on things that you don't actually ever have to deal with. And this is the problem in America is we don't teach people the actual history of the country, and that is that it was pilgrims and it was Puritans who came here as an experiment in religious freedom. We actually don't teach people that a lot of the founding principles, like our rights, come from our Creator. They come from God, not our government. That we have religious freedom, we have freedom of assembly, we have freedom of speech. We have an amendment to protect those by bearing arms to defend ourselves when the government raises up in a tyrannical way. That all of what is an experiment that the rest of the world does not enjoy. And if you've traveled the world, I've been to couple dozen countries, it's not like this.
No.
The prosperity is not there. The freedom is not there. And even the ability to get on television and speak negatively against your nation, if you do that in most nations, the government, they incarcerate you.
For sure.
They make a public example of you.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you do that in Iran, if you do that in Iran, they hang you off a bridge. If you
Make an example of
regime, they make an example of you. If you do that in Russia, they make a public example of you. If you do that in North Korea, they make a public example of you. In a lot of the nations, if you speak out against the government, you are treated as a traitor committing treason against the government.
That's how I felt when I watched it, and it's probably too extreme to say take him out behind a barn, but like to hate your country and to be representing it, there's soldiers dying.
Yes.
For your freedom to do that right now. And you're as much of a representative as they are. And they don't get a microphone to talk about it. You do. And it's reprehensible to come after a nation that the only reason you can do what you do is because of the people that are dying for your freedom and protecting the borders. And Bend, Oregon, you don't really get it, but you're not. If you're in Portland, you'd actually feel unsafe because there's riots and a lot of illegals living there, and they protect them over the citizens.
Yeah, and let's be honest, of the 10 plus million people that entered the country illegally during the Biden administration, let's say, there was some decent people that could be good citizens. Great, then get in line, apply, and come into the country legally and add value. But in addition, there's 300,000 children that are minors that are missing. We have no idea what happened to them. If we could find some of them and rescue them from slavery or sex trafficking, let's please try and do so. In addition, there are a lot of criminal actors, cartel members, there are drug dealers and sex traffickers. And could we please remove them from the country as soon as possible because they are dangerous and deadly and they are a net loss. And then there are some people that are coming into the country that are complete criminals and they are just trying to game the system. We have gotten a clear picture of what that looks like in Minneapolis. And this is just the beginning of the unfolding of all of the fraud. And the question is that do we not have a right to say, hey, if you're going to come into the country illegally with the express intent of committing fraud and taking dollars from those who are hardworking citizens, do we not have a right as a nation to say, you need to now be arrested and deported because what you are is you are a threat to the well-being and the future of our entire nation? And then to say, I don't like everything that is going on. What do you not like? Do you not like all the fraud in Minneapolis? Do you not like all the fentanyl? Do you not like the sex trafficking? Do you not like the 600 people that were arrested in a major sex trafficking sting operation in LA last week, many of which were children and minors, some under the age of 14? What do you not like?
Well, I don't like, the guy that's saying that is walking around with a security team. Like you
in a white puffy jacket. And he's got somebody else cooking his meals at an Olympic village while everyone takes his photo.
And the only skill you have is knowing how to ski. If the end of the world comes, you're not going to be very helpful. It feels like a lot of privilege, and I think you're nailing it. And it's disgusting. And one of the guys, he said, if you can't represent the flag, hand in the jersey. You don't get a platform and reject what it gives you. Like
you get all the benefits of America, and then you get to be a critic of it.
I don't think we see a lot of nations doing that to themselves. We're cannibalizing ourselves.
Well, this is like a trust fund kid who then cashes in their dad's check and spends their time criticizing their dad while they're not working. It's like, well, either criticize your dad or take his money, but don't do both.
Yeah. So what's the solution for young men? Like, it just feels like we need to do something. Young men need to get activated for first their faith and then their, for the Lord, for the Lord and then for their country, to be patriots. And where do you stand on being a patriot? Are you proud to be an American?
The older I get, the more proud I am. And the more I've traveled the world, the more grateful I am. And the more I study the founding of the nation and the principles it was founded on, and the people it was founded by, the more I realize not everybody was a Christian, but the principles are deeply influenced by the basic principles of the scriptures. Like, I'm in the 10 Commandments right now, and private property ownership. Thou shalt not steal. That means the government doesn't own everything.
Yep.
Basic principles from the Bible. They are undergirding what were the framers' intent of the creation of the nation? And you can't deny that. You just can't. I mean, and at the end of the day, there is no perfect government, because even if you have a perfect system, it's going to be implemented by imperfect people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can sit back all day and you can critique the system, or you can involve yourself in it to try and improve it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to sit back and to critique, and it's hard to get involved. But I would say for young men, invest yourself in doing the best you can for your family and your legacy and your kids and your grandkids. And if you are worshiping God, you are working your job, you're trying to build generational legacy and wealth, you're staying faithful to your wife, you're investing in your children, you're raising them up to love and serve God. At the end of the day, you and your family are going to be positive contributors to your nation.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, your legacy is going to be blessed by God.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the best way to be a nationalist is to worship Jesus Christ and to obey the Bible, and you'll be a blessing to your nation, and you'll be a contributor to future generations for your nation.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think young men need to solve problems. I was reading about 5 generations ago in my family, there was someone named Salmon P. Chase, and he ended up putting the entire currency system together. And that's why In God We Trust is on all the bills. So he was the son of a minister, and he really hated slavery. He was trying to go on the road and just speak and try to advocate against where the nation was at that point. And he went and got a law degree, had great mentors, grew in his faith. He never missed a Sunday at church, but he went out and did something and fixed something. And the currency system was completely broken. So he wanted to be president. He ran for president 2 or 3 times, never made it. And Abraham Lincoln actually put him in as Secretary of Treasury because the currency system was just broken. So he jumped in and solved a problem and was able to influence a lot and actually help with the slavery issue in America at that time. But I think we underestimate how much just being faithful to our Lord and helping solve problems can be over the long term. And I'm grateful. I bet he didn't realize that a couple hundred years later, we'd still have those bills with In God We Trust on it.
Yeah, that is a cool story. So at some point, that's got to be all captured for Indy and for your kids and your grandkids. There's got to be a little documentary or something about that.
If they ever try to remove In God We Trust, we're going to have to go to war.
We're going to have to go to war for that.
Yeah. It's a cool piece of history. I'm reading his biography right now. It just came out, which is cool. But that's what I love about Abraham Lincoln. He surrounded himself with people that actually ran against him, but they had good ideas. So the book's called Team of Rivals.
I've got that book. Yeah.
Yeah. So very cool. But I think young men just need to solve problems and stop talking about them.
Well, and it's easy to critique what other people are doing. It's really hard to do things.
Mm-hmm. It's like all the liberal young women and some men online getting mad at ICE. Well, what's your solution?
Yeah. What would you like to do with cartels?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Solve that problem.
Yeah.
Go look at the evil.
Yeah. Dealing with cartels on X is a lot easier than dealing with cartels on streets.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. It's like everyone's mad about what happened in Venezuela. No, it's excellent. Those people are liberated. Ashley used to teach refugees from Venezuela, and they're thrilled that
they're very happy.
We've never lived under a dictator. People call Trump a dictator. No, if he was a dictator, that guy'd lose his head for saying that about his country.
One way you know a guy is not a dictator is you call him a dictator and you're still breathing.
Exactly. You ridicule your nation on live TV and you're still able to ski the next day.
Yeah.
We are giving away a truck, a K5 Blazer, and it ends this month. If you text truck to 99383, we will send you a link to get into the giveaway.
So I think that's a good place to end the Olympics. Another thing that came out of the Super Bowl, obviously there's lots of ads and commercials, and very cool to see a pro-life adoption ad roll, and wanted to show you that and kind of get your take on it.
I know you never expected this. The voices and the anger are so loud. I I know you envisioned things differently. They're telling you that you've only got 2 choices. But the truth is, there's 3. Are these options difficult? Of course they are. But you deserve to know. Adoption is an option.
So we got it very polarized right now. It's either pro-life, pro-choice, killing babies, saving babies. What do you think about the third option?
It's beautiful. And I think even from a branding standpoint, adoption is an option. I think that's really clever. I appreciate the tone of it. And it appeals to the young woman who's in a difficult place. And we know statistically, if a woman sees the child, through an ultrasound, she tends to want to have the child because she sees this is actually a human life. And statistically, if the father raises his hand and says, I want to help raise this baby, she has the baby. So for many women, if they're able to see the baby and or have support for the baby, they're willing to choose life for the baby. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's great because it gives some empathy, some compassion, some support to a young woman who's got a difficult choice to make, at least in her understanding. And as a pro-life man, like there is no choice. You choose life.
Yep.
And as a Christian, Christians really pioneered adoption. So in the early Roman Empire, the days of the New Testament, infanticide was incredibly common. If you had a child with any birth defect, you would literally put them out with the garbage. I mean, and girls were less desirable than boys because boys could go, grow up and work in the farm or the business. And so it was very common for children to be left out with the trash. And then the most despicable people would come along and they would pick up those children. And a lot of those sons were raised to be slaves or gladiators. A lot of those girls were raised to be prostitutes. Just horrifying. And so it was the Christians who started taking these children into adoption and raising these children. And so Christians really pioneered adoption in the early Roman Empire in the days of the New Testament. And part of that is based upon 2 things. Jesus Christ was adopted. So Jesus has a biological mother in Mary, but he does not have a biological father. And so Joseph becomes his adoptive father. And so technically, God came to the earth and he was adopted.
Yeah.
So the adoption of Jesus Christ by Joseph sets in motion for the Christian that adoption is this incredibly noble, high calling in ministry. In addition, the language of the Bible, particularly in Romans and Galatians, is that God is a father, Jesus is a big brother, and Christianity is being adopted into the family of God, the church. And so all Christians see ourselves as adopted. Nobody is born into God's family. We're all born as sinners, and we need to be adopted into God's family. And we're adopted into God's family because God's a father who chooses to adopt us into his family. So the whole language of the gospel is one of adoption. So for Christians, adoption it should be an absolute, hand in glove fit for Christian worldview and belief. And so for us, it should be very easy to say, I can love an adopted child just like I would love a biological child, because the gospel of Jesus Christ and the example of Jesus Christ compels me to. And so, I love this. And there's people too that they struggle with infertility. There's people that want to have children but have been unable to do so. And so it provides opportunity for family for those who otherwise may not have that opportunity. And so I think it's beautiful. I think it's wonderful. I love the tone of it. And I appreciate the bravery of just sticking your neck out, because on this issue, you could get grief perhaps from both sides, but it takes a lot of courage. So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, and it is very clever marketing and branding around it, because it is a third option, but it is very much a life option. Like
it is a pro-life option.
It's a very pro-life one, but they're branding themselves as something in the middle, which is very helpful for the young woman making the decision of like, okay, either have to kill the baby or keep the baby. And it's like, well, no, there are people out there that, yeah, like you said, struggle with infertility and want to have a child. We had my little brother was adopted from Korea, and I can't imagine not having him as a little brother. And he's a blessing. And Romans, we're all adopted as sons. Yeah, so you would say for a Christian, it is a noble and good thing to adopt a child.
Yes, but I would say as well, don't do it because it's faddish or it seems interesting or it's a fleeting, interest.
It's not a pet.
This is a lifelong commitment.
Yep.
And you need to be called of God and you need to be willing to be committed to it, because sometimes when you receive a child, you don't know what their background is. Maybe you don't know what their genetics are. They may have a medical condition you're unaware of. They may have experienced some trauma or abuse that you're unaware of. You may not know what you're getting with this child, but once you adopt that child, you're their parent and you are committed. You need to be committed to them as you would be committed to a biological child. Otherwise, you bring that child into your home and then you realize this is a lot of work. And again, some people treat them like pets and they're like, well, this is a lot more than I was bargaining for.
Yep.
Now that child is perhaps bonded with you. You've not bonded with them. They bonded with siblings. Now they've got aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents. And it's like, if you're going to commit to it, you need to be 100% committed for the rest of your life to being devoted to that child. Otherwise, don't start something you don't plan on finishing. And I've tragically seen that on some occasions.
Yeah, there's I think in the boomer Christian religious world, there's a lot of people that adopt children. They feel a moment of guilt, or it is a fad. It is movies like Blind Side come out, and it's like, oh, I should be able to do good. And if you weren't called to it, you have no business being there. And if God calls you to it and He blesses it, it's incredible. We know a lot of families that have adopted kids, and you wouldn't know that wasn't their kid. Super interesting. CBO projects that by 2033, annual deaths in the U.S. will exceed annual births. So a lot of Christians are asking, adoption and all this stuff, does it fulfill the mandate to go forth and multiply? Like adoption, and what should the Christian be doing? Should the Christian have a lot of kids with the world getting so dark?
Yeah, so what happens is whoever has children owns the future. It really is a population game. Whoever puts people in the future controls the future. That's why people who are transgender, gay, they're trying to convert your children because they can't make any children. So that's why they want to get into government schools and entertainment, and they want to brainwash your children.
Yep.
And so they can't make any children, so they're trying to convert your children. And so the one group that is trying to rule the future by putting people in the future is the Muslims.
And that's what's hilarious to me about the Muslims and Islam being so aligned with the left right now. They're just co-opting and using stupid emotional people because they're putting people in the future. But they love this whole America stop putting people in the future thing.
Oh, yeah. They're like, hey, if you useful idiots can go in and deconstruct, Western values, you're all a cul-de-sac of reproduction. You're not going anywhere. Then what we will do is we'll have 10 kids and we'll all raise them to be, jihadists, and we'll put them in the future and we will rule because you won't be there. So it makes sense. Like, you're using the progressives to deconstruct Western civilization, and then you will rule the future. It's brilliant and it's simple. But if you go to places like Berlin, like when I was there, it's burqas everywhere. It's wild. It's high, and it's large families that are Muslim, and they're not really training their boys. They're not really disciplining their boys. These boys are pretty wild. They're a bit feral. They kind of do what they want. Same thing is happening in France. Same thing is happening in Dearborn, Michigan. I mean, you're starting to see some even pockets in America where the future looks like it is going to be controlled by people that have a worldview based upon Islam that is completely incompatible with American constitutionalism. And so there is a problem and crisis that is coming. So yeah, reproduction, conversion to Christianity, and adoption. You need all three.
Yep.
People need to make babies. Christians need to convert people to Jesus Christ, and then adoption. People that love Jesus need to adopt kids. All three of those things need to happen. Otherwise, the future is going to be Islamic.
Yeah. Yeah. And we heard last week from the Israeli ambassador, the Jews and the Jews in Israel are one of the few people groups in the world right now that are reproducing faster than the decline. And with the war in Israel and everything happening, you'd think it'd be a very depressed, beaten down nation. They're in the top 10 out of like 180 countries, happiest countries, most fulfilled in the world right now. And they're in war. Like if America was literally bombs were going off, I don't think we would be thrilled. But they're attributing that to children and putting more people in the future. So for the young man that's like, should I have kids right now? The world is getting dark and darker much faster. You believe it's meaningful to have children and have a lot of children.
There are three things: incontrovertible statistical evidence, and the American Family Institute with Bradford Wilcox is really the place to go to get the data. There are three things that are statistically undeniably proven to give your life meaning, purpose, and joy. Jesus, a wife, and kids. Those are the three things. And it's proven statistically, and it's proven for 2,000 years. And in my life, it's proven for decades, and it's proven in the lives of tens of thousands of people that I've had the honor of pastoring. And Jesus, wife, and kids. Those are the three, not just things, people that bring life joy. I know that my God is over everything. I come home to my wife, and I've got kids, and now I got grandkids. And so even today, what is the highlight of my day? Well, I woke up. I know that my sins are forgiven and my Savior is over it all. And if I die today, I'm going to be with him. So worst case scenario, I'm with Jesus. So worst case scenario is best case scenario. I woke up today. My wife held my hand. We prayed together and smiled. And when my day's over, we're going to go for a walk and we're going to hold hands because she's my best friend. And I saw a couple of my kids today. One's right here. And my grandkids were here. And they were running around. And when I pulled up, I mean, you saw it. They heard my voice, and so they all ran to the window. We're here at the ranch, so I didn't know they were going to be here. Bop, 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 bop. You know, like, that's it.
Yep.
It's not what you have, it's who you're with. That's what makes life joyful and meaningful and valuable and purposeful. And so, yeah, if you're a young man, I'd say if you give your life to Jesus, your wife, and your kids, you will have a joyful, significant, satisfied life. And if you give your life to anything else or those priorities are out of order, you will not enjoy your life and it won't be the same.
100%. And I have learned that having a wife and now a son, like, I don't know how to even describe it to a young single man or a liberal woman, like the depth of the joy and purpose you feel when your son says, I love you. And like I was leaving and he's like, Daddy, I forgot to give you a smooch and a hug. And it was like, I mean, you can't, there's no crazy angry comments you can make on X or Instagram that'll ever line up to a son running up and giving you a hug. Like everybody's unhappy in their 40s trying to figure out their purpose and they're trying to find it in a job or, politics, but it's in a wife and a kid and a faith in the Lord.
Well, and part of this, it's like God is a family. The Father, Son, and Spirit. Our entire understanding of the doctrine of the Trinity is God is a family, and even the language of Father and Son, that's language of family. When God made us in His image and likeness, and He said it's not good to be alone, it's because we were made to be in a family. And then God's answer is to give Adam a wife, and they have kids, they have a family. And so God's all about family. And when all is said and done, God's going to get his family together forever. And so the heart of God is a father's heart, and it's for family. And so for men, it's like you're made to be a father, you're made to be in a family. And when you are, honestly, that's what you were created for. And once you experience that, you're like, oh, now that's your purpose. Your purpose is not to be a good golfer. Your purpose is not to, meet your sales quota. Your purpose is not to, I don't know, go viral. Mm-hmm. Your purpose is to be a father and in a family. That's your purpose.
Yep. It's really good. Yeah. And until you have walked that path and lived into it, it's really hard to sit on the sidelines and judge it. And the world wants to tell us those things are awful and they're a ball and chain and just go have fun, travel the world, do all these things. Those things will never fulfill. Having a wife, a kid, following Jesus, it is hard until you have done it to describe it. And it is a great design and it has worked, like you said, for thousands of years. So thank you, Pastor Mark. And I think that's a good place to leave it for this show. We want you guys to be driving a 1974 Chevy K5 Blazer, and we're giving it away this month. It ends in a couple weeks. So if you text truck to 99383, that's truck to 99383, you'll be claiming your free entry into winning this truck. And if you donate any dollars this month, they are tripled entries for this truck, and we will be drawing it on February 28th. So buckle up, get ready. You're going to want this truck. Again, thank you guys for tuning in on this week's episode of The Mark Driscoll Show.